We're here in the park again, and this time we've got the lovely Tori here to model for us. It's a beautiful sunny day, and the problem is when you try and take photos or portraits in this kind of light, it does create problems. You can see on Tori's face we've got very harsh shadows coming off her nose and on her cheek, and her eyes look quite dark, and my face too looks quite shadowy. And even I don't look particularly handsome in the glare of the sun, and in fact I think it's made me look a little bit kind of average looking, but but now have a look at this though. We're going to try something. Look carefully at Tori's face. You can see how the shadows are starting to fill in. Now that's back to normal, and now it's got a better light on the face. Quite a significant difference between the types of light. Now how am I doing that? Well, what I have here is a piece of white board. This is kind of mount board that you can buy from craft shops. So it's something you can make yourself very, very cheaply. Tori's tied her hair back now because it was creating a little bit too much shadow on her face. I'm going to leave my hair as it is. Now, the closer you put the reflector to the face, the more effective the change in the light. So when you put it really close, you get a really nice light on the face. But I still wouldn't put my subject in the full glare of the sun, reflector or no reflector. I'd do one of two things. I'd either move her into the shade or possibly turn around so that the sun was behind her. The other thing you could do is to take the board and just cover up the face and prevent the sun from hitting the face. Let's try a couple of photos and see what happens. So here's the first shot, taken in the full glare of the sun. Her face looks really terrible with all those shadows. And here's the next shot, just covering up her face with that board. It looks completely different and a much better light on her face. Beautiful shot. But we've got a nice typical English scene here, and they're playing croquet in the background. So what I've done is I've turned Tori round, so we've now got the sun behind us. Now you'll probably find our faces are a little bit too dark, and that's pretty typical of what happens when you have a bright light behind you. But you can see Tori's got a nice lighting round her hair, and that's called rim lighting. There's a film about that called backlighting. Now, you can, instead of just using a piece of cardboard, you can actually use a purpose-built reflector, and that's what I'm going to use here. Because I'm just taking the photos on my own, I don't have anybody else to hold the reflector for me. So I'm going to use a purpose-built reflector. This is one made by a company called Light. Now these reflectors typically have different colours on different sides, or different type of surfaces on different sides. Now on this particular reflector, one side has silver and the other side has white. Now what you'd find is the silver side would be too powerful when it's very bright or sunny like today. So if I was to shine this in her face, you'd see I'd blind her. That would be awful. So today I'm going to use the white side. Typically I'd use the silver side on a cloudy or an overcast day. So if I come on this side, we should see the difference on Tori's face now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a before and after photo to show you the difference that the reflector can make. Let's put this down for the moment. So this is a typical shot without the reflector. This is the first shot in normal kind of auto type settings, and you can see her face is a little bit too dark, but we've got a perfectly exposed background. Now I'm going to overexpose the photo. We've still got the people playing croquet in the background, but I don't mind about that. Now you can see her face it's got quite a nice light on it, but unfortunately the background is now overexposed. So now I'm going to try a shot with the reflector. Now this particular reflector has a nice handle on it, which means I can use it on my own rather than have an assistant. The problem we've got now is it's a little bit windy, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. Here we go. I'll tell you what, Tori, you hold the bottom of it for me, that's it. If you just turn towards me with your feet, that's it, keep it there. Now what we're going to do, we're going to lift the reflector up, so now we're putting the light back on her face. So here we've got a great light on her face, and the background looks well exposed as well. You can also see the nice catch lights that the reflector has made in her eyes. The other thing you have to be careful of is where to actually position the reflector. You don't, even though she's got shadow on one side of her face, or she may have shadow on one side of her face, you don't really, sorry. You obviously have to be careful because they catch the wind, sorry. Even if she's got shadow on one side of the face, you don't really want to hold it just to lighten up one side of the face. You really need to position the reflector underneath and just twist it slightly so we get the light in, and so we get the light pointed into her eyes. These reflectors come in all shapes and sizes. This is kind of a medium one, which is great for portraits, but you can get them much larger if you wanted to take a full-length photo, or maybe a photo of a couple. You can get different types of surfaces on these reflectors. This is silver and white. There are gold reflectors which will give you a much warmer light on the person's face. And there is a kind of a semi-gold as well, which is silver and gold stripes. And that warms up the face, but it's not too pronounced, the effect. If I can find an area with top shade, then I would prefer to use that rather than mess around with the reflector. But the reflectors are great if you can't find that kind of light. So why not make yourself a cheap reflector, go out and give it a try, and see the great difference it can make to your portraits. Bye for now.